What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video on this channel, DynacoBlue43/DB43, whatever you want to call me. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a theory, and it's probably this question in specific. It's probably the most mysterious thing in the entire Cars universe. No one knows the answer to. It's one of the biggest mysteries in the entire Cars universe, and we'll be touching on this topic today in this video. I don't really do theory videos that much, but I kind of want to do more, and if you guys do like this theory, smash that like button right now if you guys want more, because if you do like my theories, I will definitely do a lot more in the future, and probably do theories on stuff that people don't usually touch on, and still has never been answered despite 3 Cars movies. But today, of course, the biggest mystery, as you guys see by the title and the thumbnail, probably is, I would say, a lot of people would say, to be the biggest mystery in the Cars universe. How did Doc Hudson die? I don't know, and I don't think many other people do know as well, because they never do say it in any of the Cars movies. In Cars 1, he obviously was alive, but in between the events of Cars 1 and 2, he passed away, unfortunately. In Cars 2, they ever so slightly touch on Doc Hudson at the very beginning of the film. McQueen gets back to Radiator Springs after a complete season of Piston Cup racing. Him and Mater go into the racing museum where Doc Hudson's Piston Cups are, and McQueen's trophy for the year that he won, which was like that present time in. And they started talking about Doc Hudson a little bit, but ever so slightly. Like, they touched on it so slightly that I bet some people probably didn't even know that Doc Hudson died in Cars 2. They probably thought that he just went on a little vacation, or he just went away for 2 months or so, or he just completely disappeared from Radiator Springs and never came back. That's probably what people thought, because they touched on it so slightly that people probably didn't even know that it was Doc Hudson died. But in Cars 3, you can definitely tell Doc Hudson died, because there's a bunch of flashbacks in Cars 3. Like, you even get introduced to Cars 3 with a Doc Hudson flashback. But despite all that, they never showed us how exactly Doc Hudson died. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video today. So let's get started. So obviously, Doc Hudson was a character in Cars 1. One of the biggest and most important characters in Cars 1. Because in Cars 1, he does become the main character's mentor, Lightning McQueen. And now, his first glimpse at Lightning McQueen, he wasn't really a big fan of him. And that was probably because McQueen reminded Doc Hudson of his younger self. And he did not want to be reminded of that, because he basically got forced to retire in racing. He did not want to look back at that. But at the end of the movie, he becomes great friends with Lightning McQueen, and McQueen is kind of like, and McQueen and Doc is kind of like a father-son thing. He probably thinks of McQueen as like a son figure, almost, if you really think about it. And at the end, they're cool with each other. He does become McQueen's crew chief, so Doc Hudson did go back to racing, obviously not as a racer, but he still is in the Piston Cup, nonetheless, now mentoring one of the biggest Piston Cup racers at that time, Lightning McQueen. But unfortunately, in the event of Cars 1 and 2, Doc Hudson passed away, and the reason why he did is because his voice actor, Randy Newman, not Randy Newman, what am I talking about, Paul Newman, he passed away, unfortunately, in 2008, 2 years after Cars 1 came out, and therefore, for that, the character that he voiced in the Cars movie passed away as well, along with him. So that did mean Doc Hudson passed away, and that is literally the only thing we do know about Doc Hudson's death. The only thing we do know about Doc Hudson's death is that it happened in between the event of Cars 1 and 2. We don't know how he passed away, we don't know what made him pass away, we don't know when he passed away, we don't even know where he passed away. It's probably in Radiator Springs, but we do not know that for sure. So before we get into my speculation on this topic, I want to tell you guys a fun fact, actually, that you probably did not know, because they actually do not have it on the Cars 3 DVD or any of them. You know the deleted scenes? Well, there's actually one deleted scene that they were going to make, but they scrapped the idea, but it was never shown. It didn't even get to the point where they're just like sketching it with drawings like the ones in the deleted scenes. So did you guys know that there was actually going to be a scene in Cars 3, a flashback to where Doc Hudson died? They were originally going to show how Doc Hudson died in Cars 3, but they thought it was going to be too emotional and too heartbroken for kids to see. So that is why they didn't put it in the movie, but I would have personally loved to see that in the movie, especially since that is the most mysterious thing in the Cars universe. A lot of people would probably love to see that in Cars 3, because they would answer the question that everyone's been asking, and it probably would, and if that was in the movie, it did get into the movie, I feel like it probably would have been the most emotional scene in the entire movie, and I feel like that's what the movie needed, a tear-jerking moment. I feel like if that scene was in the movie, it would have been that tear-jerking moment. So what basically happened in that deleted scene, from what I remember reading from an article, it didn't really explain much, but basically Doc Hudson was passing away at Willie's Butte, racing with Lightning McQueen. I think it was in the rain as well, and his engine died or something from the rain. It got to his engine and it completely messed it up and destroyed it, and he started smoking, and so he ended up stopping and he couldn't move, which I guess is the equivalent of someone being really injured from a car crash or something in real life, possibly. And McQueen goes over to him, and Doc Hudson is like, "Oh no, kid, this is how I wanted to end me racing." Something like that. I know, that was a little cringe, but I think it's something along those lines what Doc Hudson was saying before his death. I think he was going to die at Willie's Butte in that deleted scene, and all the Radiator Springs Tyrants were going to cry and stuff, or be super sad, especially McQueen, since I think McQueen was going to witness Doc Hudson's death right in front of him. Very emotional, right? Yeah, I know. It definitely is very emotional and tear-jerking. And so I actually do think that is what happened. But even though it was the deleted scene, they thought of it, but it wasn't the movie. Can't actually consider that to be canon right now. But in my mind, I think that is probably what happened to Doc Hudson. And it makes logical sense, and it seems like something Pixar would do as well. And I mean, they were going to do it anyway. So yeah, it did kind of seem like something Pixar would do, because Pixar was planning it, even though they scrapped the idea. But they had the idea of doing it, and I think that makes sense because Doc Hudson is an old school car. He probably isn't gonna have the best engine. I guess he broke down from the rain. All sad movie moments do happen in the rain, so why would this one be any different? But anyway, he probably died from the rain, I would say, and it probably messed up his engine, probably smoked, and obviously he couldn't go anywhere. And I guess he thought that since he was a doctor, he could repair himself, but he couldn't repair himself in time, then he passed away, unfortunately. That is just my theory on the matter, and I think my theory kind of makes sense. I don't know if you guys do agree with me. I do think it's a logical reason on why Doc Hudson died, and I feel like it's a good reason as well, especially since I feel like he would die right in front of McQueen, which is why McQueen probably doesn't really want to touch on the topic of McQueen, or not McQueen, Doc Hudson's death. It's probably why McQueen doesn't really like to talk about it that much. So what are your guys' thoughts? How do you think Doc Hudson died? Do you think he probably just died of old age? Do you think he has some sort of illness? Or do you agree with my theory? I would love to hear a bunch of guys' opinions, and I'll be hearting a bunch of comments who do give their opinions on the matter of Doc Hudson's death. I really like to hear people's theories, because they always seem super fun to hear, and a lot of them seem really fun to hear. Yeah, they really do, and I really do enjoy hearing other people's speculations and theories, so please comment them down below. What do you think happened to Doc Hudson, and how did he die? So anyway, hope everyone did watch, enjoyed this video. Like I said before, smash that like button on this video if you do like this theory, and if you do want me to do more theories, smash that like button, because if people do like it, I'll definitely do a lot more in the future. This one in person, in my opinion, was definitely fun to make, and I'll definitely love to touch on more topics in the Cars universe, Cars 3 theories that didn't really get answered, Cars 1 and 2 theories that didn't really get answered, so anything you guys want. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much for your creative support recently, and like I said, or as always, peace out.